On this trip, staying with my sister and niece for a few days, we decided to visit the nearby medieval city of Norwich, in the heart of East Anglia, where history meets the present and every corner holds a tale. Join us on a walk through the charming streets of Norwich, where the past and present intertwine like a medieval knight trying to navigate rush hour. We start at the Edith Cavell Memorial, at the Erpingham Gate entrance to the Cathedral on Tombland. Edith Cavell was a British nurse who was executed by German forces in 1915 for aiding Allied soldiers. The monument is a tribute to this remarkable Norfolk woman whose courage touched the world. Passing under the Erpingham Gate, built in 1420, we are met with an inspiring view of the iconic Norwich Cathedral. Built over 900 years ago, it dominates the Norwich skyline, a testament to the craftsmanship of medieval artisans. Entrance to the cathedral is free, but a donation to the coffers would be well received and faithfully applied. I highly recommend a visit to the cathedral during your visit to Norwich. This magnificent Norman cathedral was built between 1096 and 1145 on the grounds of two former Saxon churches. It's built from flint and mortar, a material readily available in Norfolk, and it is faced with cream-coloured limestone brought from Caen in France. Caen stone was used in the building of many Norman churches as it's easy material to carve as well as being decorative. The cathedral has had many restorations over the centuries, but the building still retains a greater part of its original stone structure. Wandering around such breathtaking architecture, one can't help feel the passion of the stonemasons, who for many never even saw its completion. The ambience within these walls is both tranquil and calming. It is the custom of my wife and I that whenever we visit a place of worship, we light candles in remembrance of family who are no longer with us, but to whom we still remember with much affection. Moving out to the cloisters. The cloister was an important part of a medieval monastery. It was where the monks would have meditated, studied, and exercised. In many monasteries, manuscripts were written in or around the cloister. One of their advantages was that they were roofed but provided ample light. The two-storey cloisters in the cathedral are the only type in England with over 1,000 ceiling bosses. Going back into the grounds, there are two significant monuments within the close. One being a memorial to a fine English sailor born in Norfolk named Horatio Nelson, who became Vice Admiral of the British Navy and a national hero after saving Britain from French invasion. The second monument to an Anglo-Irishman named Arthur Wellesley, the first Duke of Wellington, who finally defeated Napoleon and the French at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. On the way to the river, we popped into the cathedral herb garden, which my sister, being a keen gardener, delighted us with her culinary knowledge about the many types of plants growing there. As we walked the path to the River Wensum, passing people enjoying a lovely English spring weather, and the lovely houses surrounding the cathedral, we start to arrive at Pulse Ferry, a charming relic of Norwich's past. Built in the 15th century, it once served as a bustling transportation hub, ferrying goods and passengers to and from the city centre. From the River Wensum, a canal was cut at Pulse Ferry to allow access for the boats bringing the cairn stone and other materials which were needed to build the cathedral. Today the arched gateway seems to be protected by a flotilla of mute swans. These elegant creatures have long been revered as symbols of beauty and grace in Norwich folklore. However, swans were once bred in a sluice-gated dock known as a swan pit for the purpose of human consumption. Passing alongside the river, we capture views towards the cathedral, whose iconic spire is the second tallest in the UK at 95 metres. In 1463, the spire was struck by lightning, causing a fire to rage through the nave, which was so intense it turned some of the cairn limestone a pinky colour. Here we arrive at Bishop's Bridge. The bridge originally had a fortified gatehouse, which formed part of the city's wall defences, but that was demolished about 1791 because it was damaging the bridge structure beneath. The surviving stone bridge was built about 1340, replacing an earlier stone and timber structure. It still retains its original purpose to provide pedestrian access to the city. Our next stop along the route is at Cow Tower, one of the earliest purpose-built artillery blockhouses in England. This brick tower was built in about 1398 to command a strategic point in Norwich City's defence against the French. The Cow Tower was specially designed to support the use of gunpowder artillery, making it a very rare structure in England for this period. Next to the tower was an old chestnut tree, which strangely prompted my sister to burst into song.
Where I sat upon my knee.
Underneath the chestnut tree.
Oh, let's swiftly move on. Passing the Great Hospital and Swan Pit, built in 1793, we see a modern bridge spanning the river. This architectural marvel is the Jarrell's Bridge. Did you know, in the 1880s, there were over 450 pubs within Norwich's city walls. That's more than one for every day of the year. The quaint Adam and Eve pub along our route is known to be Norwich's oldest watering hole, dating back to the 13th century. And legend has it that Queen Elizabeth I once stopped here for a pint during her royal progress in 1578. So after your tipple, let's wobble along to the oldest part of Norwich and to the cobblestone charm of Elm Hill, named after the elm trees which once stood here during the reign of King Henry VIII. With its timber-framed buildings, narrow alleyways and cobblestone lanes, Elm Hill evokes a sense of medieval charm and mystery. Antiques, crafts, cuddly teddy bears and an interesting bookshop, amongst others, are waiting for you to explore. From the medieval to the modern and on to London Street. On the 17th of July 1967, London Street in Norwich became the first shopping street in the UK to be pedestrianised. Norwich has a wonderful choice for shoppers with many big name brands, and let's not forget Jarrell's department store. It also boasts a wonderful Victorian gem of elegance, the Royal Arcade. Reaching the end of the arcade, we arrive in the market square, the hub and gossip of any city. In a corner of the square is one of the 12 most historic buildings of Norwich, the Guildhall, England's largest and most elaborate provincial medieval city hall. It was the centre of city government from the early 15th century until its replacement by City Hall in 1938. City Hall is one of the finest municipal buildings of the interwar period in England. It is where Norwich City Council is administered. Did you know Norwich is the only city in England to be within a national park? Did you know it was the second largest city in England during Tudor times? Did you know Norwich was the first city ever to have postcodes? You may notice, wandering around the city, that wherever you look, there seems to be a church. Norwich had around 60 parish churches in the late Middle Ages. That's one for each Sunday of the year, plus a few left over for feast days. 10 minutes walk from the market square, we arrive at Plantation Garden. Created in the late 19th century by local businessman Henry Trevor, the Plantation Garden is a testament to the Victorian fascination with exotic plants and romantic landscapes. Designed as a peaceful retreat from the bustle of city life, the garden features winding pathways, lush lawns and a dazzling array of flora from around the world. Scattered throughout the garden are statues and ornamental urns, adding a touch of elegance and whimsy to the landscape. The garden is a perfect spot to pause and reflect in this rush world. Throughout the year, the Plantation Garden bursts into life with a riot of colour as tulips, roses and dahlias bloom in abundance. We now retrace our steps back to Tombland, whose name derives from the old English word tomb, meaning an open space. Once a bustling market square and site of public executions, today it's a vibrant district filled with cafes, historic landmarks and an ice cream shop. Best way to end any day. We hope you enjoyed the walk with us around Norwich, from its medieval churches and quiet cobble lanes to its bustling shopping streets and markets. There is always something new to discover. This trip only covered a small part of what can be explored in this wonderful historic English city, so we look forward to visiting again.